Mm. I know it's been a little while since well, I mean, it's not like I've not connected at all, but I know I've been very in and out, hot and cold. I know. Sometimes I give you all the signals in the world that I'm ready for more, and then suddenly stop and take them away and act like I never said those things or wanted those things. I know it's confusing. I'm honestly not trying to do it to confuse you. To be honest, half the time I don't reach out to you because I just don't want you to be confused. And I'm not sure whether I want you to not be confused about my love for you, or if I'd rather have you question it and move on so that you can have somebody that isn't confused. Though, I don't know, I suppose if I just wanted what I wanted and I didn't worry about what anybody else thought, and I did, like you said, and I believed the best, especially in you and about myself, that I would just tell you. I would just tell you I love you and thank you for waiting for me as long as you have, and that I hope that you keep waiting, that I feel like I'm so close and yet so far away. See, that's where I get to the hard part, because feminine, even in being free in a 3D sense, and like, I don't know, feminine, there's so many things. I've made so many messes that even saying that I'm free and single doesn't mean enough right now, because I still have so many entanglements, not just with 3D people, but in my head and in my heart. It's like my heart is made of strings, and instead of growing up learning how to weave and crochet and do things with the strings that helped make sure that I had more control over what the strings got attached to or tangled on, I just lived my life just kind of flying by the seat of my pants, and my heartstrings got tangled up into all sorts of people and things that weren't meant for me and weren't good for me. Or see, I don't know. See, that's how you affect me, because now, like in the past, I would have looked at situations like that and been like, this was no good for me. I messed up. I made mistakes. And yet, then I hear your voice in my head saying, no, you didn't. You did just what you were supposed to do. And yes, you're right. That was not meant for you in the end, but the lessons you went through in the middle were for you, and they were for them, and they were for you. And I don't know, feminine. I really like the way you think about the world. It's funny. You're like that girl. I remember so many times you used to tease me about being that guy, and I like being that guy, and it's being the guy who's always doing something cool, something different, something kinky, something manly, something that others wouldn't think to do. I don't know, like that guy. But there wasn't that much time that I spent thinking about, you know, who's that girl? And I realize what's funny is what I'm seeing now isn't something that you made up. It was an image that I had in my head of what, I don't want to say the perfect woman, but the perfectly imperfect woman would look like. And somehow I feel like you always already were that girl, and yet somehow it didn't get shown. I know you had your own self-worth stuff to work on. To be honest, there's so many times now that I see you walking around, and it's like you have this invisible crown on your head, and it's like you always had it before, but it was like askewed and hanging off to the side, like you didn't know it was there, like I was the only one who saw it. And there were so many times, feminine, that I saw that you weren't owning you. You didn't realize that you are the best, that you can do anything, that you don't need me to do anything you want, that you're high caliber. And I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to help build you up. I didn't know how to do anything other than focus on the shitty sides of life, to be honest. That's how I was raised, and it's how people around me have been, and I know that it was one of your main complaints, even that I was always so focused on the crap in life, and that you wanted to at least look at things in a better way, and I never really understood before. I thought maybe you were trying to do some sort of new agey bliss out thing where we don't see the reality around us. We don't deal with things, that things get bad, and I didn't want that to happen, though I can see I can see I see how you've been living your life since separation started. I see how by following your heart, by reframing things or pivoting as you say it, by looking at the light side of life more often than you look at the dark side, how that's gotten you to be the kind of woman that you know that crown is on your head. And it ain't crooked unless you put it that way on purpose just to be fun. And, and damn it, feminine, in so many ways, I feel like you're doing that on purpose. I feel like somehow, I don't even know, like the more that I try to distance myself, either to try to protect my own pride or to try to protect you, or just to take the space to think about things and see, like, if there was real distance between us, would I fall out of love with you? Would you fall out of love with me? See, this is what the moments where I see myself and how immature I still am, and I don't understand how a feminine like you could look at a masculine like me and say that's my man. Whether you whether you have me in 3D or not, like that you do that, and it just in so many ways it beguiles me. And you're probably the only feminine that I know that could do and say that, and in ways that I know, like, yes, you're messing with me, you're beguiling me, but you're not. You mean it. You want it. You believe it. And you don't care what's in the middle. You don't care how long the wait is. And I mean, you make yourself so hard to forget, you know? I swear I could drink all the whiskey, all the beer, everything in the world. I could take everything meant to make me forget, and I feel like it would never work. Because I can't forget you. And then you do things. I don't know how it works out. It's like right when I'm in a space where I feel like I'm not thinking about you in some way or another, then something happens. I run into somebody that I only knew through you, or I run into your friends, or I feel like I see the shape of your face in the sky, or hearts in the sky. How do I always know that when I see a heart-shaped cloud in the sky, that it's from you? I swear I've been around so many people that say that they love me, that say they want what's best for me, that they act like they're that girl or that guy. And yet when I see a heart in the sky, I know it's you. And my mind never goes anywhere else. I mean, maybe secondarily I might think, oh, well, maybe it's so and so. But even that, it feels silly. It doesn't feel like any of them are that magical, or that any of them really see me that way, and somehow you do. And then there'll be times that we have to see each other. Not that it's a have to. It's always a want to, but I don't know. I still feel like in many ways I have to pretend like it's a have to for other people. But the minute that I'm around you, I can't pretend anymore. That's part of why I stay so distant. There's just something about you. You're so genuine and authentic. And even if you let me live in my fantasy world of BS, I still know that you know the truth. And it just makes me not want to even pretend. I just want to be myself around you. That's what I've always loved best about being around you. Even just being your friend, I feel like I can be myself in a way that I can't with anybody else. and I know you feel it, and I know you love it, and I know that you wear those dresses just to mess with my head. You wear those low cut shirts just to make me think about who might be seeing you that way. You wear that coat or that sweater or that hat that either the ones that I gave you or they're just like the ones that I did, or there's some sort of thing that you know is going to catch my attention. And somehow you're one of those feminines that you do it in such a way that I know you're not doing it for me. You're doing it for you. You just you love finding things to do for yourself that you know, feminine. I know that you're wearing that stuff and doing those things because you know it gets to every part of me. Sometimes, feminine, I try to avoid any times being around you simply because I don't know. I feel like I'm in such a situation that's like the ones that before that you know the stories. I didn't get much appreciation, much attention, much affection, and I was chained in, or that's what it felt like. And I gave every bit of who I was and got very little in return. And feminine, over the past many months, it's only gotten worse and worse in that area. And so the more that I see you and the more that you're doing those things that I know you know beguile me, the harder it is for my body not to respond before my mind even has a chance to decide how I want to. And then I just feel shameful because I'm the one that set up this mess and then doubled down and pretended like I was happy in it and choosing it. Like I didn't want you, which I swear in the middle of saying it, I kept feeling anytime I typed it or said it to you, half the time I had to type it because I couldn't speak the words to you. I knew you'd call bullshit, and probably, I guess I expected you would laugh your butt off. Though I realized in many of those moments that I really did hurt you, that you really did believe that. And it just kicks up so much shame because I never wanted to say those things in the first place. And so many people had me convinced that, I don't know, that even if you really weren't as bad as my anxiety made it out to be when I vented to them, even if you'd really changed, even if I'd really gotten it wrong, that there was just something wrong, that more people would look at me cross-eyed for ending the situation that I said I wanted to be in and going back to anyone of the past, that it would make me look silly. And so even by the time that you glowed up so much that you surpassed even the level of things that I asked for, the things that I wanted that I didn't even expect you'd put any time or focus into. Like, by that time, I just had it in my head that it didn't matter how amazing you were, how magical, how meant for me, how much you wanted me, that I couldn't do it because other people would question it. And I would have to answer to them. I would have to tell them how I messed up, how I misunderstood, how I looked before I leapt, how I was just really insecure and didn't see everything I had, all the blessings right in front of me, and that I'd have to recount all the things that I told them before that you did that I didn't like, that you wouldn't change, and now you have, and you did it for you. And I feel like in a way it's kind of like when you start to learn about how the world really works, and you start to see that half the things that in the past you would have blown off as some crazy conspiracy theory, that is actually true. And there actually are times that people are really hiding things and not doing good things, and miscommunicating the truth on purpose. And then you want to tell people, you want to talk to people about it, you want to see who else thinks what. But then when you open your mouth, you run across people that are still in the space where you used to be, where you wouldn't even, in the past, you wouldn't even have looked. You wouldn't even have double checked the facts. You would have just gone, nah, that's definitely conspiracy. But then by the time that you realize that some of those things are either true or based in a truth that's important to know, you look around and you see all these people around you and go, they might not never know, and they certainly might not ever understand. And if you tell them about that, you see a difference and you see the truth, that you put in the time and energy to research and know what is right, that they'll just look at you like you're just a nutter, like you're some crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, when really you just want to make sure that your family is safe, that you are safe, that the truth is known, so that you can make actual real decisions, not just ones that society wants you to make. It feels so much like that, feminine, to where I see so much amazing. I can't even tell you half the time it's like the harder I try not to think about us, the more visions and dreams that I get of us and all the amazing things that could be. I feel like that will be, but I don't feel confident enough in that. But it feels like the stuff that could be, the stuff we could be doing. And I know that you believe me. I know that you see. I know that you see things that I still don't see yet. And you're probably the only person that could tell me something that if it was anybody else, I would totally write it off and go, yeah, right, this person's crazy. But when you tell me, I think even if I don't believe it, that doesn't mean it isn't true, because you've shown me that so many times. And then I want to look that stuff up. It's like this twin flamey soulmate stuff that you talk about. I feel like I've heard so many people talk about similar things. Some people around me, I think they've even picked up on some of the stuff that you and I have talked about, and they've been trying to make it seem like they're some expert in it or knowledgeable or have just enough that it's all that matters. But I can tell they've never looked beyond a surface level. They don't really believe it beyond, what might be shown in the movies, or beyond the amount that they were able to fool me with it before. Like, if it really took any shadow work or emotional effort or real deep understanding, they would never go that far. For them, it was only a matter of pulling me in and making other people believe that they knew of some special thing, which is probably sadly how they think that you're doing it. And for a long time, I thought that was true too, that it was just some theatrical thing, though I can see you believe every bit of it, and you're brave enough that you'll put it out there, that you let people think what they want to think, and you think what you want to think. I feel like I'm like on this precipice where I love that so much. It feels like it would be such freedom to just think what I want to think, believe what I want to believe, and to be able to let other people believe what they want to believe and not feel hurt by it, especially if it's something that's contrary to. To be honest, feminine, I don't know why I have this thing about me that I feel like I have to be the perfect version of me, or of a man or masculine, or whatever role I'm playing, that if I somehow miss a step or don't do it just right, that nobody will accept me and everybody will leave me. I feel like it's probably stuff like what you said, that I need to dig into my past and look at my mother-father wounds and things like that, which you don't even know, or maybe you do, but Spirit's been already making sure that I can't ignore that stuff, that I have to see all the things that really kept me from embracing your love, from really letting you love me and letting myself love you. I know that I made a whole lot of excuses that were based on how things were for me growing up, how things were for me with exes and people that I was with before you, and that I know that I said I could not be for you the man you deserved, the man that you knew was in me, because they hurt me. And it seemed like, it seemed like at the time it felt so logical. It made so much sense. Like, why wouldn't I protect myself from those potential hurts, even from somebody who wouldn't do them? Like, it seemed like that was how you were supposed to live life, that if you get hurt, you make sure you never get hurt that way again. And then you just gotta be like, somehow, I don't know, armor yourself so that you never get hurt in other ways that weren't expected either. I guess I'm just so used to people finding new ways to tangle me up and hurt me in ways that I don't feel like I have any sort of, I don't know if it's a way out of, or I don't want to say retaliation, just no protection, no way to say no, I did not do that, or I didn't do it for that reason, or to tell them you hurt me and expect that I get an actual apology back without them throwing something in my face that I did that makes me feel like a jackass for even having a problem with anything they did. And I don't know, feminine, I feel like I'm starting to see the cycle in that. I feel like spirit's making sure that I see that that is exactly the way that I was with you, and that's why I'm in the position that I'm in. I'm learning the karma of how, I don't know, of how trying to protect myself from ever getting hurt ended up hurting me worse. Both because I'm in a situation where I'm not happy, but it feels like every day, even if we don't talk in 3D, feels like every day you come to me and you show me how amazing you've always been. And you show me how I saw it in the beginning, and most of the times in the middle, how it's always been there. That even when you weren't confident enough to show it, I still saw it. And that, I don't know, I feel like in some ways I see you feminine and you're like the one that got away, and yet you also never went away. I don't know how you manage to play both parts for me, but you do. And every day that I see you learning to love yourself, to put yourself first, to choose things entirely for yourself, with the bonus of knowing that it'll beguile me when I learn about it, that I'll love it, that it'll just reaffirm for me that you are that unforgettable girl. I feel like, I don't know, somehow in my mind, there's still these voices that say it's a trick, it's a trap, be an angel, don't give in to temptation. Either it ain't real, or it won't last, or I'll screw it up, or I'm not ready, or people will present weird problems. I don't know. It feels like there's these loops in my mind that just keep ticking away. I feel like I waste so much time overthinking about what something means, what someone means, if they're genuine or authentic, and then I'm faced with all these times that people are calling me out on my genuineness, on my pride, on my, I don't even know. I don't even know, feminine. I feel like there's never going to be a time when I'm not thinking about you, when I'm not dreaming about you, when I'm not picturing in my head, whether I want to or not, all the fun we could have if I could just get my head out of my ass and let go of this pride and not worry about what anybody else thinks. If I could get to this place where you are, where you don't explain nothing. If people don't understand, you tell them they will when the time is right. You tell me that. I remember we used to go in those loops to where either I wouldn't understand something, or I was mad because I didn't like what you were talking about, and I immaturely kept asking you to re-explain or use smaller words and pretend like I wasn't smart. and round, and you'd explain over and over again. And I feel like I got more mad because the more you explained, the more sense it made, the more evidence it provided that I needed to change, that I was the one who wasn't seeing reality. And now you don't explain anything, not unless you really want to. And I envy that. I feel like I feel like even though there are probably some people that would look at you funny if when would I don't want to say if, I want to say when, but I feel so strange about it. I'm just going to say it when we are in union again, when we're in harmony, that they're going to look at you and say, how could you take him back? How could you let somebody who treated you as bad as he did back into your life look just like that? Because that's what it's going to look like to them, feminine. I know. I know that you've done your work to be able to sit with things. I know that you're not going to let me ever treat you the way that I did before. I know that there's so much healing in store of it, and but I also know that I know the way people think, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like if they came to you and were like, "What are you doing? This seems stupid," that you would just giggle at them and say, "That's an interesting outlook," and leave it at that. And you would either flit off like a fairy being and not worry about a thing, or that it genuinely wouldn't bother you, that you would not care what anybody else thought, and in that way you would dismiss for them all of their fears or concerns. And the others who didn't, who got hurt on you not going, oh my gosh, you really think so, and not listening to them, that they wouldn't matter much. Not that they wouldn't matter as people, but that it would, that I don't know, somehow you just create this vibration where there aren't many people like that in your life, and that when they come in, you appreciate them just as much as anybody else, and because of that, either they change and grow with you, or they don't meet up with you anymore. I don't know how you do that, but I definitely want that. I just, I guess I'm scared because I feel like in order to be that, in order to have that, in order to be able to walk to you and have my head held up high and say, damn Skippy woman, I am yours and you are mine. And that is, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure that that's never a question in anybody's mind ever again, least of all yours. That I feel like the only way that to get there is to do stuff that I have never done before. And a lot of that is simply not being codependent to people. It's putting myself first in healthy ways. But it feels like, I don't know, that line, walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Like it feels like I have to make that walk, that I have to own. I have to own it. I have to get myself free. I have to tell people that I screwed up. I have to worry about what they will think and learn about. I don't even know. I feel like I have to go through in many ways what you went through in order to understand how you do the things you do, especially so gracefully and magically. And oh man, somehow feminine everything. I know that you love the things you do, but I know you don't have the perspective of them that I do. For you, they may seem like normal things or no big deal, but to me, it just makes you that feminine even more. That lady, that girl, that you just do everything in ways that impress me and inspire me. I don't know, feminine. I just I feel like this is a turning point for me. I've never been more sober. I've never been more, well, sort of free. And I feel like I've never thought so clearly in my life and never known what I wanted more than I do now. Though that scares me, feminine, because I mean, before we met, before you beguiled me and turned my world up on its head, I would have I would have just lived as I am and not even noticed there was anything wrong with it. I would have stayed tangled up with karmic friends and lovers and thoughts in my head and thought, this life ain't too bad. I got more than my parents did. Yeah, sure, it ain't great, but pain comes with life, right? Like, I realized that I really thought for a long time that I was just looking for a life that had less pain in it than where I came from, rather than looking for a life that was good. I've been settling, and I feel like that's, I don't know, feminine. I guess I thought by now that you would have moved on and allowed in some soulmate or somebody that would be 100 times better than me. That you could have, like, even without being petty, you could have shown me that I do everything with you easily that I fought against, that I said was hard, that I had no time for. And I don't know, you could have at any point in time, but you didn't. Instead, you worked on you. And I know that, I don't know, feminine, it's like that song, the way you do the things you do. You just do them in such a way that makes me feel like you're in control of you and your life and your destiny, and that you never settle. That's what makes me think of you. That makes me think of you in a way that stands out to anybody else. You're the only person I know who doesn't settle, and yet also isn't like completely bound up in getting the perfect outcome. It's like, I don't know, somehow you found that balance between being grateful for what you have and enjoying it in the moment, enjoying the life in the moment, and yet also you never settle. Not on the person you want, not on the person you want to be, not on where you want to live in the future, the job you want to do, the mom you want to be, the daughter you want to be, the friend you want to be, the friends you want to have. You don't settle, and it makes me look back and look at what I'm doing, and I've done nothing but settle for how things are, settle for how people see me, settle for what I can get, what I can make do with. I feel like you're the only person that I've ever really told my bigger dreams to, and you're the only person that, even when you're not intentionally holding me to it in a 3D way, I can feel you. Maybe it's in that 5D space you talk about. I feel like I can feel you there in my heart, and saying you're not following your dreams, masculine. You're not doing that stuff with the music you wanted to do. You're not doing that stuff with the cars and trucks you wanted to do. You're not, you got so many dreams and you're not pursuing any of them. And I look around and I think about why I'm not. And either I'm always working because the bills are endless and I'm the only one putting in anything into any of them. And on the other end, like, so many people want so many things from me constantly, and they make me feel like crap if I say no. Today, I want to do stuff for me. And I don't want it to be a day that's just full of the chores that you don't help me with. I feel like if I ask anybody for help, if I say, no, I'm taking this time for me, any of it, whether it's a friend or a lover or a family member, like, somehow they all want and need something right in the moment that I need time for me, that I want to work on my dreams, and I feel like a jerk. They make me feel like a jerk if I take any of that time for me. And then in the moments when it feels like they don't even care about what I'm doing, that I guess I gaslight myself into assuming that it would be something later, like, even if it wasn't a thing now, and then I don't take that time and I settle for the cycle of just trying not to be the reason drama was instigated, or that conflict happened, and I can hear so many voices telling me, like, you're just enabling this cycle, you're settling for it, you deserve so much better, you could have so much better. I feel like lately I feel like I spent so much time feminine, trying to convince myself that I didn't know what to do, that the drama, the toxicity, all the crap was just too much, that it was too much for anybody, least of all for me, or most of all for me, and that there was no way out of it, or that I'd have to wait until they were done with me, that there was no way to do it, that now I don't know. I feel like it's like that manifestation stuff you talk about. I feel so stupid in many ways because you warned me. Think about the words I'm using. Think about the things I say to myself, the stinking thinking, because the words that I use and the thoughts that I think most consistently become my reality, like that manifesting stuff you talk about. And to be honest, feminine, I like I said, I've always wanted to believe things that you say, but there's so many people around me that say that that's BS, and I know people from my past that would have said the same, and it felt like trying to put rainbows over poop, that it didn't take away from the stink or the smell, or that it needed to be picked up, that was kind of like trying to put a mask on things, or to pretend that things were better than they were. And I don't know, I feel like I look at what you're doing, and I know that's how you live your life. That's the way that your belief systems work, and I see that. I mean, things may not be perfect, but they're going really well for you, and I can see that even though you want me by your side, you're not unhappy by yourself, or with friends, or with family, or anywhere you are, that you're whether you got everything falling apart financially or not, whether people are creating their own chaos and circusry in your life, that you're still happy no matter what. I want that, feminine, and not just I want you. I want to feel that way myself too. And I don't know, I feel like I start practicing it more and more on my own, and I can see that it works even when it's not consistent yet. I feel like I can look back even at our separation, and when we had harmony just before that, and I can see how when we were together it was always a waffly manifestation, because you were over there overcompensating for me being such a victim and such a pessimist, that you were such an optimist it was almost corny, and that we got a life that matched that mixed vibration. And now I look at my life and I see how everything that I used as an excuse for why I couldn't tell the truth, and why I couldn't be accountable, and why I couldn't come to you, it feels like they have now manifested. And I can see how I did it too. I made sure that anybody who questioned things, that I gave them this white picket fence sort of image, that I don't know, I still feel bad, because in many ways I told them that you were just crazy. You're just crazy, jealous ex. And, just, I don't know, like I said a lot of things that were really stupid. And I feel like even that now I'm getting that in return. People just telling me that I'm just crazy, just too emotional, that I'm just a coward. And I don't know, it just stings even more to feel like I said those things about you when you were just doing you. And I'm so glad that you did. I feel like I can look back and see the contrast. And in the past, even if I had realized that I had manifested my own messes by the way I was thinking and the things I was doing, that I would not have been able to have seen the key in that it was me, and that I could manifest something new, something different, something better, you know? And now I look at this mess around me, and this, see, feminine, this is what I mean. This is what you do to me. I look around and I see it feels almost apocalyptic to me, the sad state of my life. And yet I can't go back and look at it the way I used to before and just say, oh, well, I'll just settle. It could be worse. Instead, I feel like I look at it, and now it's not just your voice. in my head, or that 5D space, or whatever. It's me. It's me sitting there thinking about, okay, how can I manifest something different? How can I change the vibration? How can I create a different season? And whenever I think about that, feminine, you're the only example in my life of how to do that. And sometimes I know it's stupid, but sometimes I do the things that you do. And sometimes I do them and I don't really understand why you do them. But I know the feeling of seeing you do them, seeing you say them, seeing you practice them. So I do my best to mimic that feeling that it feels like you're having, the reason why you're doing it, the why. And I try to do it without worrying about how or if I'm doing it right. And it works. It works. And there's nothing that's ever been in my life before that I've been able to go, I don't need to know all the mechanics of it. I'm just going to try it and actually have it work. And sometimes that scares me, feminine. And then there's other times that I do understand it, that you've told me enough, that I've seen you do it, that I've even done it in the past myself, and I will think about things the way that I want them and imagine them, and then they start to come about. And the stupid thing is that I'm so strange that I get mad at you, at myself, at the world for the fact that it works and it's that simple, and that it feels like it turns everything on its head that I thought before, that we don't have any power in life, that we got to take what we can get. It's feast or famine, that nothing can be changed, especially if you have a pattern, especially if people know you as a screw up or a player or whatever thing, that there's no possible way to get out of that, least of all at my age. Heck, feminine, I'm not a spring chicken exactly. Although, see, again, that's where you make me feel like even that is defied. I feel like I want to feel old so I can tell people, no, it's okay for me to settle because I'm old, and then I can't, because I know that when I'm around you, when I'm thinking about you, even when you're texting me and I'm not answering, and even just in my mind and in my dream space, that you come to me and you joke about you ain't old yet. And you make me feel like I'm not old. You do that, feminine. You indulge my inner child in ways that nobody else does. You make me want to nurture him and bring him out and be him without being the immature, spoiled, petulant brat that I've been a lot when I guess I realized when my inner child needed attention and I wasn't giving it. Oh, feminine. See, even the old loops, even the old loops I used to get stuck in about feeling stuck, feeling old, feeling righteous and settling, they don't stay anymore. And there's so much a part of me that's, oh, I don't know how to explain it, feminine, because there's so much of me that's still so afraid that by the time I manage to get myself together, that I've healed enough that I feel like I can look at you in the face and neither worry about some cruddy I told you so that you'll probably never say in the first place, and to also feel like what I'm telling you is true enough for long enough that, I guess, not that you'll believe me, but that I will believe me. I don't know, it's still a fear, but there's this growing feeling in me that it's like you said, that everything is happening as it's supposed to. That even when I feel like I'm screwing it up, I'm doing it right. I don't know all the things. I don't have all the data. And that I just need to have faith that I am. And I feel like whenever I think about that, it feels illogically good. And the more that I do it, the more that I get these visions of times when, not if, when I will get to tell you about all this stuff in 3D. That I'll get to somehow explain to you the journey of me getting back to you, and that you, I mean, you might have your human moments of indignation, but I feel like mostly feminine, you're gonna look at me with loving eyes and pretend to be riveted as if you didn't know this whole thing all along. And then after you let me have my moment and make me feel like the most amazing man, like somehow doing things I should have been doing all along, that they were actually like the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest or something, or doing some Broadway or vaudeville show and some sort of that guy sort of thing. And you make me feel like the best masculine in the world for kind of like achieving a base level of normalcy, and that it'll feel so good, and that over time you'll reveal to me what I already knew was true, that you knew all along, that somehow you held that space for me, that you, unlike any other feminine I've ever known, you're the only one that I've ever met that would not grab for the power, that would turn me down when I offer commitments that could trap me in, that would, how do I even put it? I feel like you're the only woman of a high enough caliber that would see the light in me and choose to focus on faith of that over time in the hawk's eye view of things, rather than focusing on what I've been doing in each moment. And that only you would decide to focus on the good in me, and then go out and work on yourself without ever really leaving me, and making sure that I knew that even in moments when I might question if you've moved on or done anything like that, that I know, no, you haven't. And you're the only one that I know of that, even in the midst of all the chaos and drama and crap that I've gotten myself into, would remind me to care about myself, care about the way that I look, to connect with the hobbies and things that I love to do, to tell me when I say that I'm too busy or I can't do that, that I'm full of shit. and and get me to want to do the things that I love for me, and show me that the only thing that those things do for you is make you feel loved, because you love to see me feel good too. You're the only one who would do that. I feel like so many people could do that, but they wouldn't. And you do. And somehow you do it in such, I don't know, the best way I can think to describe it is you do it in such a magical way that somehow you can be that girl who is holding on in the corny romantic way, and that is like gracious and elegant and chaste, and yet you're still also that kind of woman that's like, I'm doing it for me. I'm going out into this world and I'm going to glow up for me, and I'm going to do it my way. And somehow you're both. And you're also that woman who you could do all the chores, you could do all the things, you could get your hands dirty, you could fix a car, you could till up a yard for a garden, you could do anything you want to. And I feel like the more that time goes on, well, the clearer it is that, well, that you were right about me, about everything, about the karmics I got, that I just got sort of untangled from, that I guess that I'm still getting entangled from, but I'm certainly not as deep in as I was. And I feel like not only are all those things true, but you also told me that I was taking you for granted, and that I would regret it, and I do. And yet also somehow feminine, you make me feel like, even though it was such a jackass thing to do, that it helped you. That it helped you find your truth. That somehow I did good when I thought I was doing the worst thing in the world. And you show me love on top of that. And you show me that it wasn't, and that it was good. And you show me how you're shining and sitting on top. And it makes me feel like you accept my flaws, and not just that you accept them, but you appreciate them, that you want them. And even though those are parts of me that I really don't want to bring back in, there's just something about a feminine who can make you feel like, I don't know, like your own OCD neurotic behaviors that nobody else has certainly appreciated are actually valuable. That 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 they're meaningful. You see what I mean, feminine? You're just so hard to forget. And now I keep hearing songs on the radio that they sing about that girl, that lady, that woman, that feminine, and how I know that you're playing hard to forget. And you're not even playing, you just are. You're hard to forget. And somehow I feel like you're the only one who could do this to me. Maybe that's part of what this twin flame is, this twin flame thing is that you've been talking about. I don't know, but I tell you, feminine, I want to know more. I'm still I'm still dragging myself out. I feel like in an effort to no longer be that guy who was 1 foot in, 1 foot on a banana peel at all times, that I dove in head first, both feet in to the situation that I was in, and now I don't know, it feels like I'm climbing out of a pond of tar, and that I've got everything out but my feet. And it feels like there's these tentacles trying to drag me back into it, and I can't go back to it. And I feel like if it were a dream, that you would be standing in front of me glowing in light, and anybody else would be reaching over saying, let me help you, let me help you, let me get you out, and you're the only one that would be standing there saying, you got this, masculine, I'm right here, you got this, you can get yourself out. And you're going to feel so much prouder of yourself once you do. Only you, feminine, only you.